Happy Sunday, everyone. Quantum immortality. What is quantum immortality? That's when I'm going down the road and all of a sudden I see a car coming towards me, for example. I can't slow down. I know I'm going to crash. I do. I feel my bones crunching, everything. Blackness, whatever. And I know I'm dead. Then all of a sudden, I'm going down the road with either being past that situation or just coming right up to it, where I'm able to save myself because I remember, whoops, slow down or whatever. That is quantum immortality, where you jump timelines to a reality where that didn't happen, because we're supposedly jumping timelines all the time. We just don't know it because it's usually very minuscule. But sometimes when we do, that happens, things do change, obviously, in our lives, because we're not quite in the same timeline. We might have certain memories that we don't remember we should have, or having memories that nobody else remembers that we know we had, or owning things we don't remember we had, or thinking we should own things so we don't have, Plus, people in our lives may be different or may act different, may not be the same. All of these things. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes maybe not so good thing, but at least you're alive, so I guess. Which I think as long as we have certain timelines open that are not maybe too drastic, I think this happens. That is our other side we go to. At least sometimes it seems to be that way. Can I say it happens all the time? I don't know, but sometimes. One has to wonder about also, well, it pertains a little bit to this story I'm going to say next, where there was, I think it was a boy who was driving his bike. He was going to check on his brother. And as he was coming back from checking on his brother, he comes up to this intersection. But all of a sudden, something in him says, no, stop. So he stops. And he knows somehow, even though he doesn't know how he knows, that there's going to be a black SUV passing, and if he would go, he would be hit and he would die. So, and he's thinking this all in like maybe a moment. It's a knowing, He stops. The black SUV, just as he knew it would be, was going fast by. And he would have been hit and killed. Most likely. Which reminds me of the 12 monkey theory. Maybe our timelines sort of act like the 12 monkey, where we learn from our other timelines. They sacrifice themselves maybe sometimes for our benefit, or they learn from us. If we, and it doesn't always have to be like a death scenario. It can be so many things that we maybe were, but it's sort of like, well, let's face it. Every timeline really is us, if it's our timeline, if it's our alternate realities, it's still us. So I imagine there is a connection and things that we learn from our other timelines and they learn from us. It's just a weird thought that I had earlier today, but it makes sense, doesn't it? As much as the 12 monkey theory does, and I believe we're all connected anyway. Even people that aren't us. We're all connected in some mysterious way. But anyway, and there was another story where there was this guy. He was going home like he always does, coming up to the intersection to a stop sign. Of course, then he noticed, and this is a guy who said that he usually sort of daydreaming and he just sort of goes by. He doesn't really take notice of things, which I think if you're driving you probably should. But he slowed down before he got to the stop sign, or right up to the stop sign, and he noticed the house over there that he never really noticed before. Doesn't mean the house wasn't there, but it was a white house, and he just was taking notice of it. And there was a dog in the driveway that was sitting. Well, as he was noticing this, at the same time, he saw, like he knew it was happening, that if he would not have slowed down and just sort of stopped to look at the house, and he would have just, after stopping and going on from the stop sign, that half a mile down the road, there was a car that ran a red light that hit him. And he was kind of freaked out, obviously, about all that. And then all of a sudden, he notices that he is still driving. He didn't stop. And he's coming up to that white house that he was just in front of a few seconds ago. Now he's really getting weirded out. He stops at the stop sign, goes on half a mile down, and that makes him be slower, by the way, because he's really weirded out now. And he goes up to the half a mile, and he's able to just miss that car that would have hit him. But was there a version of him that obviously wasn't so lucky, that he learned from? 12 monkey theory. Just saying, putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there. And here's another story. A brother and a sister whose father was, I think, their main caretaker. He passed away. They went to his funeral, and I think they were still like school age. And I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, if I remember the story right, he comes home. Now, they seen him get buried. They were at his funeral, right? But he came home like nothing ever happened, like from work, you know. Started watching TV, and they're like, but they don't want to, you know, they just let it go. They're just, because they don't know what to do. They're creeped out, you know. It's not like he's a zombie or anything. It was like another timeline of him came in and took over. Or they switched timelines together, which is probably the most likely, where their dad was still alive. But most people don't realize about timelines, so it creeps them out. And the two stories about the shootings. I've heard these stories, like it has been a little while back, but I know there was an incident where there was a guy who took his girlfriend to a movie, and I think they got into I don't remember exactly how it was, but they got into some kind of incident with this guy. They were outside of the movie theater, and this guy either stabs or shoots him. He's laying there dying, his girlfriend, you know, and everything else. And it's like he's blacking out and everything. And all of a sudden, he comes to, and he's sitting in the car with his girlfriend, who is totally freaked out as well. At least they went together in another timeline, right? And it was a similar story to the other one, where there was a guy was in a dorm room with his girlfriend, and some guy comes in. I don't know what was wrong, if he was trying to rob him or what. I think that's what he was trying to do. And he ends up shooting the guy, and he knows he's dying. And again, he comes to. His girlfriend, I think, also was freaked out there and was with him, and they, you know, can you imagine? But sometimes they don't come with you, you know, and then you leave your loved ones all crumpled up and sad while you're going on and living in another timeline of yourself still alive and well. So it sort of reminded me of a time when I was like, and I don't know if this was the case, although you do have to wonder if sometimes these things are happening to us all the time, and we just don't, you know, we don't always see it or realize it, or we just pass it off as, you know, something weird or strange. But when I was 7 or 8, we had a camper trailer in the backyard, and I think people were getting ready to come over later, and we were all chilling in the camper trailer. My mom was in the house, and I was supposed to go get something in the house. I was running, like a 7 or 8 year old would probably do, and I tripped over the rake that was laying out, not put up, I guess, and I hit my head on the edge of the stairs. And I remember seeing just darkness, like space, and then seeing stars. So, like when you hit your head and they say you see stars, I don't know. But it seemed like there was more to it than that. It seemed like I was seeing like other beings or something. I cannot say that really happened, but it seemed like it. But then all of a sudden I came to, and of course I was bleeding really bad, because when you get a head injury, you bleed really bad. My dad, of course, is rushing me to the hospital. And all I get is I didn't even have to have stitches. All I got was a tiny little bandage on there. And it was really nothing at all. But you have to wonder, or was it? Maybe that was an incident where I had died, but come back in a lesser injury in another timeline, and my family is missing me instead of my sister. I wonder. I don't know. There also, when we were, the night my mom had my sister and I, the doctor told my dad that my mom was losing too much blood, because twins, and I don't know. It doesn't always happen that way, but at this time, and it was back in the, back in the 60s, right? And he didn't, and the babies were already gone, and he didn't know if he was going to be able to save her either. In fact, chances were going to be like 0. Of course, my dad went to praying and all. And he knew somehow it would all be okay. And the doctor come back a little while later and said, your wife has absolutely lost no blood, which is impossible. And your babies are alive, which they should not be. But you have to wonder, or was it another timeline? Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. And there was another time that I almost died, supposedly from a fever when I was little. I don't know. You have to wonder how many of that is just, near death to you're in another timeline. If we're going in another timeline all the time anyway, it's possible. That's happened to us many times. Anyway, that's just a few of many stories out there of people that have this. And a lot of times, when you're little, like 7 or 8, or when you're a baby, you wouldn't realize if things have changed, or But when you're more as like a teenager or a grown up, I think these things would make, you would notice more changes, like maybe clothes change, personality changes, whatever. But anyway, I will end this video and wish everyone a really wonderful Sunday, and over and out.